let's talk about Caleb, because I want to pose something to you that I wrote about for winners and losers, because during that game, I'd watch Caleb play really, really well. The touchdowns to Keenan Allen were superb. Like he really looked in control of the game. He looked like the guy who is finally figuring out how to harness his improvisational skills. Like he was taking off and trying to make things happen and actually kept his eyes downfield and made things happen. It didn't look desperate anymore. It looked like he had a plan with his kind of running around and making plays like he did a lot of times when he was really playing well at USC. And then I'm watching Jayden Daniels play really well. We've watched him play well all season. And I thought, there has to be a class where quarterbacks got drafted 1-2 and both guys were good, right? Like you just think like that has happened in NFL history. I know it hasn't happened lately. It has never happened. There's any draft where the quarterbacks go for the first pick and the second pick. It has never worked out where both guys are good. The best one, you got to go all the way back to like 1971, where Archie Manning and Jim Plunkett were the first two picks. Both guys were good enough, like Plunkett obviously, but that wasn't with the Patriots who drafted him, mostly with the Raiders in those Super Bowl years. Archie Manning was just a good quarterback on a really, really bad Saints team. So even that is kind of like, I guess. It's usually Drew Bledsoe and Rick Meyer, or Peyton Manning and Ryan Leaf, or maybe even both fail like Jameis and Marcus Mariota. Already 6 games in, I can tell you that I believe Caleb Williams and Jayden Daniels are the best quarterbacks to go 1-2 in an NFL draft ever. Like if you look at the history, I don't think that's an outrageous claim. I just can't believe either of these guys won't be superstars unless there's major injury or something like that. Both of these guys are awesome. Like this is really happening where we're getting guys drafted 1, 2, and maybe even 3, and even further down in the first round with the quarterbacks. This quarterback class is going to be really, really good. And it's led at the top by 2 guys who I already think are like top 12-ish quarterbacks in the NFL. That's how good they've been right away.
It's alarming too, because their college experiences were so different. Caleb was such a, lauded prospect through the entirety of his career. Jayden had 1 good year, right? So there is no method to the madness. He's just a guy at Arizona
State, right? Like you wouldn't have looked at that guy at Arizona State and been like, that guy's going to set the NFL world on fire in 3 years. Like, no, like what?
But to your point, there's sort of proof in the conversation, because as great as Jayden is right now, we're not sitting here destroying the Bears for not drafting Jayden Daniels. Like,
no, not at all.
That's significant, right? The fact that it's like, hey, Jayden is great, Washington's great, they're doing it great. We have turned around and said, why aren't the Bears doing as much with Caleb? But we have not yet had the conversation of, well, did the Bears draft the wrong guy? Because they didn't. Like, this is what we should all be rooting for. This is best for the league. This is what's best for all these teams. Like, for 1-2 to work out this way is kind of an amazing thing. It brings you a beacon of hope. And frankly, if you're a New England fan, you thought you saw some moments today from Drake May.
Yeah,
if you're a Broncos fan, you somehow maybe like Bo Nix talking trash when they're down 20-0. I don't know. And if you're a Vikings fan, you're saying, hey, JJ's going to be great for somebody sometime. So you're right. Like
Penix is still sitting there collecting cobwebs. Yeah. By the way, real quick, who do you think wins Offensive Rookie of the Year? Because I think it's a conversation now.
No, I think the hype for Jayden, it's almost like, when you've got a jury trial and you got to move it somewhere else. I don't think you can undo the publicity that we've seen for Jayden Daniels to this point. Like, I don't think you can change people's minds.
I think that we're going to look back in December. This September in the NFL seems so far away in December. Like, did stuff like that really happen? That I think Caleb's going to get a lot of late moment. I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be, we're going to get to the end of December and there's going to be an actual argument of like, which guy are these voters going to vote for? Because both are deserving.